Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. It's good to be seated here and looking and watching at one of my favorite teachers in high school, Miss Times. We used to call her affectionately. She used to come in class. We remember that, I think it was room 6, if I'm not mistaken, but it was just after that corridor. We remember rushing to class. We had to be seated on time. We had to wait for English lessons to start. And there she would walk in with so power and authority. And we didn't know how young she was at the time. She was just telling me this quite recently. But we've only experienced the best of Phumla Times, or Sisi Phumla Times. We call her Miss Times. So between Sisi and Phumla Times, I think I'll be using those two ways to refer to her. Miss Times, Konjani.
Hi, Olwam. I'm very well, thank you. Ne? And I'd like to greet also your viewers. People will be streaming on the podcast live. And I'm very grateful to be here.
Siyabulela, thank you for coming. I don't think you understand the way that we have appreciated being in your classroom. I don't think you have, I don't think we've even said it appropriately, but in our corners, when we remember Ithembelihle, where we used to go to your class and then you would teach us and there would be readings in English, there would be grammar and all of that. And I just thought that it would be important just to maybe bring you in and start having a conversation about your background. I know that you went to a Molefe, you went to a Phendla, a Molefe, and then you went to a Hector Petersen in King Williamstown. And I am from that particular township. Hector, it's in zone 4, this is zone 9 right across.
Yeah.
And I would see it. So that was interesting to actually even see. Can you just remind maybe people that you know, and also tell our viewers, people that do not know you, Uguti, how did you have the early education experience?
Look, I grew up in Lukshin, right?
Yeah.
And I studied, obviously, within the parameter of home. I don't know whether parents said who did that deliberately, maybe for safety and security reasons. I don't know, but Molefe Phendla Lower Primary School, which is not very far from home,
Yeah.
and then I went to Molefe, as you're saying, which is also a stone throw away from home,
Yeah.
and then I went to Ekawen a little bit,
Yes.
ne?
And all in New
And then
Brighton.
all in New Brighton,
Important
within
as
the
the bed.
proximity of home, and then when disruptions happened due to political uprisings and all of that, parents thought, you know what, we have to move you now. Go to King Williamstown so that you can further your studies. And then that's what happened. And through all of that time, I never had an experience of being taught English by a white person. You know, all my teachers were black educators, and they were the best at the time. And I was an avid reader. I loved reading a lot because my parents loved to read, my dad especially. Utata bengabatata bafunda James Hadley Chase, you
Yes.
know,
Ndiyavangabo. James, James Hadley
efunda
Chase, uMamende, we'll talk about that.
etenga or Herald
Yes.
every day, and he would buy Evening Post, he would buy Sunday Times. So so I was brought up in that kind of environment where reading was very paramount and important.
And how far back do you remember reading? And are there any of your favorites? Ibalekile ngoba nje ngumntanami ngoku as uba efunda ufunde earlier than I could ever read, but also because there's tuition up in Lee that she can actually enjoy. Ngule, my wife does that quite actively, and I realized that uqala nini umntana ufunda, like as an educator, uqala nini umntana, but when how far back can you trace?
Look, I started schooling at 6 years. Ne? I wasn't accepted. Mama went to school afford. Lower Primary, but I wasn't accepted. But my mother could see that, because I was exposed to a lot of literature at
At
home,
home, yes.
I could, read, and I could construct sentences as young as I was. And I was accepted then at Phendla Lower Primary School at that age, at that age. So basically, umdana, I think from the age of 6, 7, 8, umdana grasps a language, and,
Yes.
and umdana is able, to connect the syllables and the sentences and the vocab, and be able to say something meaningful,
Yes.
But I think in this day and age, abantwana are helped a lot by technology, because they are,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. I think that's
yeah,
another thing.
yeah.
So we didn't say that we're going to be wearing white today. It just happened. But some of the fondest memories, we knew that if there's a class teacher in high school, Ithembelihle, that will always be on time. Her surname is Times. She took after that. And that will always be dressed appropriately. Can only say it that way. Neat and smelling good. As soon as she walks into the classroom, the whole classroom is actually overcome by her scent. And that was actually an experience as a child. It's an educational experience as to who do you meet in the classroom. You moved from in high school, and then you went to a Vista, and then you did some education courses. Then you went to do PR. But I want us to paint for us, how did that transition, how does that work to move from a particular focus and go to another one?
Uh, Look, I'm a very, I don't want to say I'm curious, but I don't want to limit myself. I'm always, um, I love pushing myself, pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits,
Yes.
see what is it that I can do. Is there anything else out there for me? That's why I went into PR. And another thing, I think I have the love for people, the love for interactions, the love for human interaction.
Yes.
That's what drives me to study some other courses that are, outside education. So I did EEPR at Varsity College, Public Relations. And then
Maybe start with the education courses that you've done.
I did secondary education diploma at
Yes.
Vista University, and then I did my Bachelor of Arts degree at Vista University, and then it merged after that with NMU
Okay.
Vista. Then I went to NMU, which I didn't mention.
I didn't see it,
Yeah, I
yes.
didn't write it. I did public management. Now,
I also did public
so
public administration.
public
I
administration,
did
and public management is a course in
yes,
public
yes,
administration.
yes.
Yes, that's what I did. And then it had local government law. I studied that, but we did that part time. Ne? So in the evenings we would attend. But then it happened that the numbers were were very small as per the requirement for part-time students, and most students that we had at the time were now the students who were not even allowed, to be part of that class, because bona bebengabantwana full-time, right? And for some reason they would just come. So the university then said, the lecturers then said, no, uh, because these students rather, are not supposed to be here. So the numbers now dwindled, and that's how it was. But I passed. I did very well, and then yeah, because of that technicality, I didn't finish it.
Oh, I see. I see. I'm sure there might be a
But it was very
way.
interesting,
There
though.
might be.
It,
There
it
might be a way.
yeah, there might be a way that, yeah, I
It
can,
could be finished.
yeah.
I'm actually working now in the in the Faculty of Humanities, in the Office of the Dean of Humanities, and I'm able to see there are three schools there: visual and performing arts. There's language, media, and communication, and then there's the governmental and social sciences, and now being able to see at a panoramic scale how this function is, it's remarkable. But I want to come back because we're going to get to the teaching of language, the learning. We're going to get to this passion that you've actually showed us over time, and that I think some of us have taken up through that experience. But after Vista, and then there's a University of Pretoria.
I studied distance education now. I did
Yes,
distance education with the University of Pretoria. And I did education management, law and policy.
yes.
And I got a distinction, I must say this, in
Imagine a teacher
education law.
that doesn't get a
In
distinction.
education law.
That's yes, that's
so,
policy now.
so in education law.
Law, yeah.
In education law.
Oh, okay,
So I'm very proud of myself for that achievement. And yeah.
okay. In a classroom of 50, at the time I think we would have been around 48, 50 in a classroom packed. What do you walk into in your mind? How do you prepare yourself to walk into this group of diverse characters coming from these background, yes, in New Brighton and the surrounding areas? What do you do to prepare yourself?
Okay. Number one, as a person, as a human being, I would really love to plead with anybody who's interested in taking up teaching as a career. Number one, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. Number two, you have to be prepared, and you have to respect your craft, because it's your craft. You have to respect it. You have to respect the learners, right?
Yes.
Because even up to today, the way I respect learners, for me, it's not about my colleagues. How I looked at Ithembelihle and the perfumes and everything that you had to
We
describe,
remember, you see, I
it
remember
was for
that
you. It was not even for me. It was for you, because I wanted you guys to have an understanding that this is how you should be in life, and you should love yourself. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your circumstances. That can be overcome. I was coming from a three-room house. My home, we had little to nothing.
and you
I mean,
didn't see that.
you didn't
You
see
couldn't
that.
see it.
When you saw me as somebody who, like, you know.
Yes.
So, so that's number one. That's very important. That's very key. And another important point is that when you're an educator, you must have some sense of consciousness. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you must understand, fully grasp the background of the learners that you're teaching. Because now we all came from the poorest of the poor
I was
communities.
coming from Evuku every morning
So
then.
we all came from the disadvantaged,
Yes.
communities, and I wanted you guys to see that there is a way out, and education is the way out. And I wanted you to see that, to give you a world view, and a perception that is bigger than yourselves. Because in you, I could see leaders of tomorrow. So if you don't have that consciousness as an educator, your duty will be from 8 to 2 o'clock within the four walls, and then you are done.
Yes.
You understand? But now I had this consciousness that it doesn't end here. It doesn't end here. You must leave, and your leaving must have an impact. You understand? And you must contribute to the economy of the country, and you must be game changers. You understand? So it came from that. That is who I am as an educator. So when I come into a classroom, I come into a classroom with guns blazing, because I want you to understand that as much as you don't see it, this is a war. This is a war.
Because we felt the
Yeah,
authority,
this is a
the
war. And I
charge.
shake you up
Yes,
to understand that la bread bin yakokwenu empty oyishiyileyo ne
yes.
waze esikolweni, it's waiting for you ukuze kubekho isonka pha. And I want you to understand that, and I don't want you to play with that, because it's not something to play with. You understand? Because you must break that cycle. And if you don't understand my mission, then I make you understand my mission. So that's it.
Miss Phumla Times, I'm sure a lot of your students and learners are actually looking with excitement because they relate. But now you are in the classroom, and what tools you have this group? Because I remember we would have, I think, a mixed group with guys from, there was a class that had all the boys doing technical work, which I didn't do because I was more in the science stream. And then there was a time we would come together. And all now knowing the energy of a group of students, young energy, and trying to, what tools
And
should a teacher,
hormones raging.
and hormones raging and everything, and other people's voice are starting to break, and they can also see also some of the authority that they can actually bring. What tools should a teacher have? What I know this ethos that you've just explained, and your outlook, and knowing that you are in war, knowing that you need to conscientize us about our background. Now that you are here in Nancy class, um, how do you keep order, making sure that everyone, when they arrive, they've done previous day's work? What sort of the technical things that you use, you do?
Okay. Number one, if you don't prepare, if you fail to prepare, basically,
Yes.
then you prepare to fail.
A
You understand?
quotable quote.
Yes. So basically, I come prepared all the time, every day. I know when I enter the class, the first thing that I'm going to say is this, the second one is this, the third one is this. These are my expectations. These are my objectives. They're already laid out
Yes.
in the lesson plan for the day, right? I know what I want to achieve by the end of that particular period.
Yes.
Now, these are my students. I have expectations also from them. And if I gave you homework, I'm expecting it to be done,
Yes.
because I did my part and I'm expecting you to do yours. And I find it very disrespectful if I give you something, right? I pour my heart out to you and you don't give me back
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
We are going to have a problem. So basically, I think by doing that, I'm teaching learners ethics. I'm teaching them the importance of being organized, plan, be focused, you know, and prioritize. You are my priority, and therefore I should be yours as well, I think,
Yes. Yes.
in the context
Of a classroom.
of a classroom.
Yes.
You understand? Yeah.
I'm asking this question because I'm interested to know. And now, through the benefit of the hindsight, I'm realizing that some of these seed were laid then. Um, and now my current reasoning, if I were to trace it back, it really comes from some of that age, that age actually that I was at, because I was starting to form a worldview. I was starting to see myself as a particular contributor in the space. And so now you have a teacher that is not doing well in their subject. What would be the first thing, as a teaching and learning doctor? What would be the first thing that you would say the teacher must look at? What the learners are failing, they're not making it. The teacher comes in every year, and the learners are at, I'm going to say, an average of 55. And what are the interventions as somebody with this experience and know it all?
You know, there is a very crucial question that we all need to answer as educators. And the question is, why are you here?
Purpose.
What is your purpose? Why are you here? Look, I'm saying this because if you know why you are teaching a particular subject, why you are a teacher, and your learners are now failing, you know, and you are not getting the results that you are expected to get by the Department of Education, and you are literally, you know, failing yourself as an educator, you think that all is lost. You need to go back to that question that says, why am I here? Because I believe that there are a lot of avenues that you can explore. There is something that is called team teaching. So in other countries, they use that a lot. Ne? It's called team teaching. It
Yes.
is not meant to undermine you as an educator, but within an institution, you have a teacher, for example, I'll make an example with English. If, for example, I am struggling with explaining to my learners concepts and language, you know, but I'm very good in literature, there is somebody else who is very good in language.
Yes.
Rope that person in. It's not a crime. It's not about you. We must remove this notion that we personalize education. It's as if it's about me. It's a fleck on my name. It's a fleck on me that I can't perform. It's about the learners. It's about the future of the children. Rope that person in. Let that person come in and do the sections that you are not good at. We are not perfect. You understand?
Yes.
So it's if it's algebra, there's somebody who's excellent in it. Rope that person in, rope your colleague in. It might be somebody who is within the institution or even outside the institution. You understand? Because this is not about you.
Yes.
It's about the lives of the learners that you are teaching. And secondly, there are other avenues as well. There are things that you can do, like you can have weekend classes, Saturday classes. Abantwana can go to boot camps for your particular subject.
Yes.
You know, there's quite a lot. There's quite a
To
lot that you
try
can
and
do to
mitigate.
try,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
to try and mitigate and get, you know, and see if your results cannot improve.
At a school level, ke ngoku, the governance, I know there are SMTs, is it subject management teams or
SMTs, yeah,
SMT, yes,
school management team.
school management teams, but then they're specific to this particular subject. At a governmental level, how does a teacher mobilize for their subject to be given the priority? I'm making an example, maybe we know a school is good for maths and this, and they are weaker on the other ones. How does a teacher mobilize? Because I know your experience might not have been only in the classroom, in also managing the whole school. Um, what happens there? How do you as a teacher sit and say, I need to get the support that you're talking about, and there are structures in place, and all these structures, even the SGB, even just the principal and his leadership or her leadership. Um, what do you do? What do you talk? How do you navigate?
It depends on what you want. What do you want? Do you want extra hours to engage with your learners?
Okay.
If your subject is allocated 1 hour, for example, you have 1 hour per day to teach your particular subject, and you feel that you need more time,
Yes.
right? And within the structure of the school and how it's run, whether by the SMT or the principal or your HODs, there is no space for that. We cannot, you know, adjust that for you as an individual, because it
Yes.
will affect other people as well. You understand? So we cannot overlap in terms of giving you an extra 30 minutes. That cannot be done because the next teacher wants to come in and use her own hour that is allocated within the working hours of a day. What do you do in that instance? So in that instance, you first consult with your parents, the parents of the learners, okay, to say, look, I want to improve my results, right? I want my learners to be the best in this subject. And currently they are not doing well. Can you give me permission as parents, right, to hold afternoon classes, right? Say they knock off at 2 o'clock every afternoon. Can they knock off at 3 o'clock? Can you give me that 1 hour to be with them? Can you make transport arrangements, right? Bring in your parents. You understand? Because those are key players in education. Parents are key players in education. They are very important.
Look at a triangle, teacher, parent, and the child. I
Yeah.
remember seeing something like that.
Yeah,
You see?
yeah. So if you have their buy-in, because at the end of the day, this is for their children. If you have their buy-in, then it's easier for you. Then the SGP can then liaise with the principal of the school and the SMT to say, teacher so and so has requested, that he runs some afternoon classes with our children, and we are in agreement with that. You understand? It's minuted and it's accepted. And it also covers you in terms of the security for the children and all of that and all other mishaps that can happen within that hour,
Yes.
because now you have an agreement with the parents. You have an understanding with the parents, and they have signed, probably an addendum that says we agree to
Agree to.
this. We agree to this. So it covers you as well. Should any, unwarranted event happen.
On so the privilege for me is to ask every question I can conceive.
Yes, yes.
And know that I don't have to worry about getting the answers right and all of that. But I want to find out, how does the school look like today? I haven't been in high school since 2002 when I matriculated. How does the school look? What are the challenges? What are the good things? What are the changes?
Look, there are so many challenges. There are so many challenges, especially in high school. And I've been blessed to have experienced, high
This
school and
or the primary school
primary
or
school
okay.
as well. So there are so many challenges in high schools today, in particular, because look, young people today are going through so much, right? There are a lot of pressures, right? There's pressure from friends, pressure from family, pressure from the society. There's just a lot going on. And it's very difficult for them. It looks like they are drowning, because they can't navigate through all of these things, right? There's social media, there's TikTok, there's this, there's that. So quiet time is non-existent. There is no, a person can't, they don't have time to actually be with themselves, by themselves, and just think, think,
Yeah.
just
Yes.
think about who you are and what you want in life, and that requires peace and that requires quietness, because if there are a lot of voices around you, you cannot hear yourself, and you can't hear your own voice, and you can't hear you can't be in touch with your own emotions, because you are forever in this rat race. in this red race. Ne? You must be in a party, there's a prize somewhere, you know, we must go out for drinks, there's this and that, there's TikTok, there's social media, there's this and that. So there is basically no time. And it's so sad. It's very sad because during your time, you had that.
Yes, we were outside completely the internet phase. We went
There
to
were no
school without,
gadgets as
yes,
they are
yes. The
today.
best gadget we had was a TV that you still have to walk to it.
Exactly
And
my point.
yes,
Exactly my point. So, yeah. So that's basically the problem, and there are also legislated now rules and you know that don't really work in education. They don't work because if you're talking about discipline, for example, now there are no alternatives, right? There are no alternatives, and the learners know that there are no alternatives, and the alternatives that we have don't work. They don't work. Okay. So I think
is there a sense of powerlessness as an educator when it comes to driving this discipline? Because when you started the conversation about the classroom, you used a military language.
yeah,
This is war.
this is war.
And in war, there are tactics, there are, understood drills, there's seniority, um, and and when I see videos on social media, and then I see children, like learners doing as they please with their teachers, we would never have have done that
Yeah,
in,
not in a million
sibethwa
years.
apha
You're
esikolweni
like,
siyobethwa endlini for that matter, and then
exactly.
ucelwe futhi xa ebuyile umntu omnye ubethwe for. So is there a sense of powerlessness because the function or the responsibility to educate still remains?
Look, there is a sense of powerlessness. It's based on the fact that education is interlinked with society because the children we're teaching come from communities,
Yes.
right? So if there is disorder and powerlessness within the communities,
Yeah.
and the children are running amok, and the children are basically, they have all the power, right? Then it is difficult within the education space to now tell that child who doesn't understand what no means at home to understand what no means
In the
when you
class.
are telling her what
Yes.
that this is wrong. You're not supposed to do this, and a lot of basic values have disappeared. You understand? A lot of, and it comes from our societies. You understand? There is what we call in isiXhosa. In fact, I'll say it in English first. Ile nto kuthiwa yi-traditional seniority,
Yes.
right? Apho baziyo untwana abantwana ukuthi awukwazi utya no sisi wakho
Yes.
esityeni esiyi-one unless ukubizile
Yes.
wakuqhekezela inyama wakunika. You understand? So there's indigenous knowledge yabantu abamnyama, right? That helped us to become who we are. Ezaa nto zoyazi into yobana utata wakho akumbizi ngegama,
Yes.
mama wakho akumbizi ngegama, usisi ngusisi, ubhuti ngubhuti.
Yes.
Uyaqonda? So those things are being stripped away, in this sea of, you know,
Globalization and rights and
and
all of
all
those
these
things.
things.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why I was saying that it's like our children are drowning. You understand? They are drowning, and we cannot. There's nothing much, that we can do. There are still pockets of us who are voices of reason here and there. But in the main and in the majority, teachers are struggling. Teachers are really struggling with discipline. Because of, as we said, the rights that are legislated and everything else that goes with it. And it runs across, it runs across because even at home, parents can't discipline their children because their children know that they can go straight to the police station. Ayokubophisa ezumzali. You understand? So these are the little things and that are big things actually that mold umntu, that have been sort of done away with. And as this foundation is shifting, and then
You are now presented with these youngsters who are also exploring this freedom that they do not even understand. I'm sitting here with my former English teacher in high school. I went to Ithembelihle High School. I did my grade 8 and 9, and then for 2 years I was in Joburg, and then I came back to do in the same school, Ithembelihle, my grade 12. I remember in classroom we studied in high school, Macbeth, and we would watch videos, we go home because we couldn't understand the language. It was just too high, this Victorian language. Is this the dagger I see? So those are the things that we laugh about. And then there was this lady that used to read for us in class, because we were so many in class. There's usually a good reader, and Pinky Thomas, but she's married now. I forgot the new name. She used to read for us. But then, um, we interacted in one of my projects, I think about 2 years back, and she assisted because she's driving trains,
okay,
and she was also tiny and all of that. But when I see and I look at her children and her family, I'm so proud to say these are the people that I went to school with. These are the
with
people that we
yeah,
worked together.
yeah,
Woman like Nondenja, we talked about you when I was in Joburg having a conversation, and that actually sparked this need to actually start to have a real conversation with the Miss Times, to touch base and say this is where we are, this is who we are, and we do trace that positively into that drill in the classroom. And I wanted to find out if there are other people that you are proud of, that you've seen. I know you should have a lot, and sorry if you are not mentioned. Maybe she didn't think of you today. Or maybe you can just mention what other people do as opposed to using names.
you. I can't use names. I'm very sorry.
Yes,
I'm not going to use it.
maybe functions that
But,
they serve.
but because I always interact with Uzola Fuchane, ku Facebook, but Ozola Fuchane, baninzi man, Martin, there's quite a lot of you. Recently, tekune esine memorial service at work, so yomntana Shem who passed on. So one of my former students attended Ubhuti. So he tells me that he's a manager in an engineering firm. Da, 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 da. And I'm always so proud of the achievements and where you guys are today. And I know that a lot of you are doing different things in different careers, and you are successful, and you are really giving it your best. Umntu londo ayenzayo kuloo ndawo, and the beauty of it is that wonke umntu kuloo nto ayenzayo, whether I met abanye abantwana bamantombazana endandibafundisa, omnye lijoni uniform
Yes.
yakhe yobutsho, I was like, wow. Omnye bendisandadibana naye recently esithi kum uphangela eprasa, undikhwaza shem ubhutana ndimboni nombona. Mna ndiphangela eprasa, so I am always humbled, and I always ask myself ukuthi, what is it that I was doing at Ithembelihle that made me to be so recognized and so appreciated, ngabantwana endandibafundisa. I'm telling you, there is not a single day that goes by. If ndisemall, ndizawubona umntana
Someone,
seThembelihle.
yes.
noba
people are
kweyiphi
not
in
afraid
mall
or
in Port
shy to be
Elizabeth.
able to greet.
And
Yes.
umntu would really appreciate me, ma'am, wawundifundisa. Omnye remember the classroom yam, what wawutitsha wawungomema room 5,
Yeah, room 5 because there was 4, ne? Yes.
So I'm like, yo. So I'm always overwhelmed
Yes.
by the sense of appreciation. There are young people who treat me like a celebrity. Abanye xa bendibona, no, mem nangu mem wam, ndifuna uthatha iselfie nawe, ndizayiposta Facebook and all those things.
Yes.
I really thank God that I was my authentic self with you guys, and I I I took my work very seriously, and I made sure that I was excellent, because the main aim was, the main purpose was for me to make sure that you become excellent and you become successful as well.
Yeah. So you can see why we don't have a low self-esteem. And there was really a group of, I remember at the time, principal Mr. Kayangwa, and who would soon retire shortly, and then we had subsequent, principals and abanye Bela and things like that. So for the first time, it was the first time I actually went into a school that had abantu abamhlophe, of Mr. Williams in math, and we met even different people.
Oh, Mr. Brent Wilson.
Mr. Deputy Principal
Yeah,
was
our
Mr.
deputy
Wilson,
principal
and
at the time.
we had Mlungu, Mr. Petersen, who would use isiXhosa and English to teach us ukusihlohla, yilento kuthiwa kukuhlohla. Or Mr. Biester, everyone that sort of huddled around us and made sure Mama Khalipa, Mem
Mem
Khalipa,
Khalipa Sheme, soul rest in peace.
who taught us typing. She would stand behind us and ASDF. I was teaching my daughter that ASDF, and she was able to grasp, because in my mind now I know this keyboard, even if we learn. We were taught, Mr. Prince, science, and all of these people, Mem Galeka in isiXhosa, and all these people, I can mention so many, they were to us education, and we are proud to have been, been through your hands. It's an important thing to state, because out of that, we base all kinds of teachings and support through what we've experienced. For somebody who might not have known, or who does not know, what does it take to run a school successfully? I want to state that question, but the question that I want to ask is for somebody who is now in leadership and driving education.
Okay. Lead from behind. Lead from behind.
Yes.
The reason why I'm saying this is from my personal experience. From here, I had an opportunity to teach at a high school at George Kosa in Johannesburg. Now, in my profile pic that I sent you, I'm in a garden,
Yes.
and it's beautiful,
Yeah.
the backdrop. That place that you saw, it was dry and desolate. There was nothing there when I got there. And teachers used to use that place to park their cars. And it's in the face of the school, right? It's in the face of the school. And we had two principals who were babysitting. And then a lady came by the name of Miss Lindiwe Ginya. And up to today, that woman is my mentor. She is what we call womandla,
Yes.
She's a powerhouse. She's Dr. Ginya today. When she came to our school, she called us in one by one. She had a talk with each of us to understand who we are and what committees are we leading in the school, and where do we come from, what do you teach, ne? Which was something that I experienced for the first time. And she did that.
Yes.
And then after doing that, she then made sure that in the committees that we said we are heading, we are working in those committees, and we give her reports, on what we have done. Then the school needed landscaping. She said, this is the face of the school, and I don't want it to be like this. I want it to look beautiful. And I was heading infrastructure and maintenance. And she said, Miss Times, I want you to run with this, right? And then she said to me, the government does give us money for infrastructure and maintenance. So for the first time now, I am thrown into the deep and I'm told to swim, because this woman sees something in me that I don't know what she sees. And then she says to me, so I want you to run with this. Then in the staff room, she announces that we are going to start with this project, and I want you to identify people within our community who are landscapers, right? And those people's names, you give them to Miss Times, because she's running with this. Okay, fine. So now I'm a project manager all of a sudden. I'm like, wow, okay. So people start coming in, potential landscapers. They come in and they show me their profiles, and this is what I can do, this is what I've done, this is how much it will cost. I'm like, okay, so we need 3 people at least, so that we can compare the prices and all of that. And so I'm doing all of this now, which is something new to me, but I'm running with it.
Yes.
And Principal Mom says, you know what, asifuni abantu abathatha chance up. So this person must understand that they are going to first do the work and then get paid after. So akuze umuntu ongenamali apha.
Yes.
Akuze umuntu onemali.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Must be prepared.
So I ran with that. So to cut a long story short, I got this guy who's a landscaper, and we chose him, and he started doing the work. And that place became as beautiful as you see it. That's how I left a legacy in that school. And because our learners didn't have a place where they can sit for lunch and eat, they used to stand. Bebephakelwa esikoleni, so no fee paying school. Deep in Soweto, Church calls at Dobsonville.
So, I know Dobsonville.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they would stand and eat. Principal didn't like this when she came in, so she was like, no, we need ezizitulo, ezanto zesamente, that like a park type of thingy, where our learners can sit down and have their lunch properly and all of that. That woman was such a visionary to such an extent that she wanted us to have a gym, eskolweni. And this is a public school. She wanted us to have a gym, and so that we can go to the gym in the mornings, come very early, go to the gym, shower, wear your clothes, go to class fresh, So there are people like that out there. So to me, that taught me that the best way to lead people is to lead them from behind. Identify potential. Allow them to explore that potential. Don't stifle them. Don't put them in a corner because bango PL1, there's nothing that they know. Okay? Don't do that as a leader. If you want,
she's using a
best,
language that I don't understand. PL1.
best post-level 1.
Post-level 1.
Post-level 1 teachers,
Okay.
uthi I go PL1 they know nothing.
Yes.
They can't help me, you know. It is from those people, you know, that are on the bottom tier that talent and knowledge and experience is, and they will surprise you. But if you stifle them, and you come and you are authoritative, it's always a top-down approach. In education, you won't go far. You will not go far because you will always meet resistance.
And it really takes a village.
Yeah.
There are many questions that I want to ask. Maybe the last two questions that I want to ask. What does Ms. Times busy herself with today? Where are you based? And then secondly is that what does Ms. Times see for the future? What you want to do, what you could be doing as well?
In the future, if God blesses me, I would like myself. I would like to see myself as an owner of my own education institution. Yes. Yeah. A center of excellence. If Oprah Winfrey could do it in our country, why can't I? For example,
Indeed,
yeah.
indeed, yes.
That is my, you know, my thingy, and but more than that, I would really love our government, you know, to use people like us. You understand? Within the education sphere, you understand? Within the education field, we government, as a Eastern Cape, for example, you know, we are here, you know, we are here, and there's a lot of us, you know, it's not only me, there's a lot of us, and we are willing to build izani sakhe man, izani sakhe, yabona, because ayisisindawo into yoba sibe siyijonge i-education as a platform only for self-preservation, ukuthi xa ndiqeshiwe ndizawuthenga imoto ndifumane indlu ndibe ne-medical aid. Can we really look beyond that?
Yes.
Can we really look beyond that? You know, if ndinothetha njengale ndaba ye-infrastructure and maintenance in schools, which is my other passion, ne? And I would give my time and my advice for free.
I suggest you don't ask her for free.
You know,
I'm saying this because I know that there are possible people that always could actually assist. I remember we had someone over the Nick who made a mention of wanting to access the Department of Justice. You know, there's someone who actually, I didn't tell Veronique this, but who already has communicated with the Justice Department, but so that at least a conversation can open. But of course, we want you to be empowered. It will please me to be empowered through this platform, and I wouldn't want people to do it for free. I know you are willing to do it, but I wouldn't want, because if I don't tell the people, they would actually exploit, and I don't want you to be drained down. I really want you to be
because
empowered.
look, education needs runners.
Yes.
The education needs runners. For example, if you're talking about infrastructure and maintenance, ne? Learners cannot perform. They can't think, they can't concentrate in dilapidated buildings. You understand?
Yes.
Kufana nawe xa ufika ekhaya kophuke ifestile, uyafika unxiba uniform vele esikolweni, kophuka ifestile ekhaya, ukhawulelwa ngama-empty ebhiya alele phaa. It does something to your self-confidence. It kills your spirit, right? And the same happens in the education space. Xa umntana enxiba i-uniform yakhe ekhaya esithi esikolweni ephuma enithi, afike esikolweni isilingi ikhamisile, iifestire zophukile, amacango, kukho igrafiti, kutheni. laa mntana then the next day esiya esikolweni uzanxiba ikepsi ayijongise ngapha. You understand?
Yes.
Because ngoku kufuneka afane nalaa building. There's no point. It doesn't see the point. Ukuthi, why should I be neat and tidy when I'm coming into such an environment? Why should I take myself seriously when I'm not taken seriously? Because this means nobody cares for me. Nobody loves me. So this doesn't make sense. You understand?
True.
I should not make any effort because nobody is ready to make an effort. You understand?
Yes.
But umntana ofunde grey. Umntana ofunde grey umisa ingqondo esangena egeyitini because the building says so, the environment ithi engqondweni. This is an institution of learning.
Yes.
You understand? If what I'm saying is our government needs runners. It needs people who are on the ball, people who are really passionate, people who really love our children, and people who really feel the pain, and people who know how to effect the change that is so necessary.
Miss Phumla Times, we've known her, we've seen her, we've heard from her, we've been educated and empowered, edified and molded by her hands, by her peers as well that she worked with in a school, and we've learned of her mentors today. We've learned of how she views education, the outlook, how to better manage your classroom, how to better manage the school, the importance of leading from behind, the importance of knowing and being purposeful and driven when it comes to classroom, the importance of changing and actually making sure that the environment and infrastructure is well geared for teaching and learning. All these things come from her book. This is her book that she's writing, and she's received today a book that her former learner, her former student has written. This is my second book. You have the first
Thank you
one,
so
and then the
much.
second one. Okay, let's do this.
Thank you
Nice.
so
Looks
much,
like a
Lolo.
government
Thank
sort
you.
of picture moment.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
But the most beautiful thing about what I am hearing, what I'm seeing right now, is that the same confidence that she had and the power and authority, she still carries it today, and it means that she's become stronger over time. But I want to, as she goes, just for her to just say anything that she wants to say, that she wanted maybe to have relayed to anyone, to any message, anything that you want to say to the viewers?
To the viewers at home, Sisempin, we are really under siege. We are really under siege. And as parents, we need prayer, we need God. And as leaders of our country, we need passion, we need love, we need to be really genuine, we need to have compassion, taking into cognizance where our country comes from, taking into cognizance our history, and be really true to ourselves and be true to our calling, and be really, hands-on in all the different departments that we are placed in, and do what we should be doing, and put our people first. I think we should really apply the Batupili principles, and make them as practical as we possibly can. I think that can take our country forward.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much,
coming. We
Lolo.
appreciate the time, and hopefully that at some stage we get to see her book. I think that book needs to come out in many ways. In many ways, it could be spoken over, it could be done, but hopefully that we get to see that. Until next time, thank you very much.